Hey there, welcome. Ron Legrand here. And we got several questions to go over today, and I got John Duck over there waiting to ask them. So get ready to write. What do we got today, John?
All right, Ron, we got a few questions today. First is from Chris. It says, if I'm an administrator on my father's estate, can I lease option the property? Here's the scenario. Principal balance is $404,000. Payment is $23.75 a month. Solar payment of $159 a month.
Okay, so call it $2,500 a month.
He says I can rent it out for between $2,900 and $3,200 a month. The broker's opinion on selling it is between $475,000 and $510,000. I want to shoot for the $510,000. What is the best way to structure this deal?
All right, first of all, you need to check with the attorney that did the probate and make sure you have the right to sell the house. And if there's any complications when you get ready to deed it, which you can't do unless the house is in your name. So that's the first discussion instead of trying to figure out what to do with exit. You got to be in total control because many estates have to have and all the brothers, all the sisters, and sign everything. And I hope that's not your case. Now, as to the deal, I would keep it at $499, right under $500 for the SEO searches. And you probably should verify that you can get that out of it. And, you can look at comps for crying out loud yourself, but I don't know if you can clearly understand how to read them or not. Anyway, let the realtor tell you is $499 a good price. Now, you said you wanted to lease option it out. There's nobody stopping you from doing that as long as you control the house. So on your $500,000 house, you're shooting for $50,000 a non-refundable deposit. Now, this is assuming that the house is in good shape and ready to sell. If it isn't, you should put it there and, of course, get that money back when it does sell if you have to do any splitting with your relatives. I'd shoot for 50. I'd put it on the market, and I'd give it a while. I'd give it a month or so and see what kind of action you get on it. See if you're told that the price is too high. See if there's anything that you're hearing from your potential buyers that you can fix. All right. And again, I want it to be in good shape when you put it on the market. You don't get a second shot at it. If you go through your best buyers on the first time, they're not going to come back on the second time. So make sure it's in shape before you put it on the market. And then it's just a matter of doing release option agreement. The one that's in the back of my boot camp manual for tenant buyers also assigns the obligation for repairs to the tenant buyers, so you don't have to worry about that. So again, I think I covered it, and if it didn't, write back and we'll figure it out this next few days or so if you have any issues. First, before you do that, check, make sure you have the right to sell the house with just your signature.
So that same guy, Chris, second part of his comment here is, I've been watching your videos, but I think I need to see more videos on actual breakdown and deal structuring.
No, what you need to do is get to my Quick Start Real Estate School, Chris. That's what you need to do. In fact, I got one starting next week. We got a heck of a deal on one starting next week. So if you can do that, and we can finance it for you, call our number, 800-567-6128. That's where you learn the basics of the real estate, because that's where your training is. You get out of there. Now we start the implementation, and very little for you to do if you just follow our simple system. So get the training first. And what scares me is you're going to try to do this without the training. You're just going to make a big mess. And everybody does, because you don't know what you don't know until you come get the training. And in fact, bring that deal with you and let me take a look at it and any other leads that you may have when you come. So we got a virtual, and we got
it's March 18th through 21st right here in our home office. Right,
in Florida, Jacksonville. And we got another one. I think the other one here is in April, isn't it?
Yeah, we have a virtual one for those who can't come live on April 22nd through 25th.
Yeah. Now that means you don't have to leave home, but that also means that you're not getting near as good a training as you will when you come to a live event. Ask anybody that's been to both, and they'll tell you the same thing. A lot of advantages for being in the live. But get on a plane, don't worry about what it costs. If you do what I ask you to do, it won't matter anyway, very quickly. All right.
And a reminder, if you can go to both. You can go to the virtual and then to the live within that first year.
That's correct. And you should. So put them on your schedule. By the way, John, what are the dates of the summit coming up? last week of this month, aren't they? Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Yeah, it is March 26th through 28th. That's a virtual summit event. It's free to register. We'll put a link in the video here at the bottom so you guys can register for that for free.
Yeah. And I've got some dynamite faculty on this thing. I mean, this is all about making money and making it quick and protecting it along the way. I'm going to have Bob Bloom, the attorney. I've got a session where he's going to come in and tell you the dangers of creating your own LLCs. So I'm looking forward. We only have this thing twice a year. The only downside is I got to sit in this chair for 3 days looking at this screen. Okay. If I got to do it, you got to do it. All right. What's next?
Next question is from Tony and Angie from Ohio.
I'm glad they got in.
Did I hear you say that you are using lease options more as an acquisition method these days to help with increasing property taxes and insurance costs? If so, can you say more about how that helps, especially with insurance?
All right. First of all, I didn't say that, but it might be true. I'm not personally using the lease options, but there are several cases where you're better off just doing that. For one thing, you eliminate the closing costs to actually close on the house. And you get a house up around $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 and more. There's a big old check somebody's got to write. And if you're getting in the deal, it's got to be you. Seller's not going to bring money to closing if they get no money out of closing. So the closing costs might deter a lot of folks. It would even deter me unless there's enough equity in it that I'm willing to put up the closing costs. And I don't mean $10,000. I mean there's plenty of equity in it. In fact, I'm sure you heard about the one that I just bought. It was $525,000 house, excellent condition. Bought it for $440,000, and the seller did owner financing on it. They wrapped their underlying loan. And listen now, I put nothing down. I used no credit. I asked no one's permission but the seller's. And there's no repairs that needs done. There's no bank loan. And I got 3 months before my first payment is due. That's how you buy houses right there, especially if you want to buy one to live in. Think about it. I had a contract. I closed on it. I could move in the house the next day. No banks, no credit check, and no personal liability. So use that one for an example. And over here, I paid about $4,000 in closing cost. I'm going to get about 40 or 50 back on a non-refundable deposit. I don't care. But let's say I'm in Maryland, for example, and those closing costs are, I don't know, $10,000. Well, unless there's a lot of equity in it, I might choose to lease option it, no closing cost, and then sell it for cash and let the seller and the buyer. If I agree to pay the closing costs when I'm buying, then I'm going to put them all on the buyer, so I don't have to pay any closing costs. And no, that's not an assignment now. You need to understand you cannot sell a house, pretty or ugly, unless you have some contract on it to buy the house. So don't be out here violating the law and act like a realtor without a license. However, that contract can also read that you want for 90 days to get a tenant buyer in there you like. And at the end of that time, you don't find one, you have the choice of killing it, or the seller has a choice of killing it, or you can extend it with mutual consent. I've done that several times. We did that one time on a $3 million house in Las Vegas. In other words, we had it under contract. It took us 2 terms of 90 days, and we had to get another term from the seller to get that tenant buyer in there. He gave us $150,000 down, and we sold it to him for $335,000 with the seller's permission. And that's the point. I did not tell anybody I was going to close until I got somebody in the house. Now, I don't want you doing that on these small deals because, that could cost you the deal. But on the other hand, if you got the right seller, it won't cost you the deal. In other words, how am I going to lose? What can I do now to fix it? I can lease it instead of buying it. And that doesn't mean I can't cash out of it, because if I'm leasing it, I can cash out of it. And you just keep that in mind. And maybe there are other reasons why you might want to lease option it. One of them being that the payment's too high and it scares the crap out of you, keeps you awake at night, and you're totally out of Tums, and you just want to take that risk. Okay, your fear is going to be much stronger in the front end than it's ever going to be in the back end. You do a few deals, and you're going to quickly understand that when I teach you how to do this business, as you well know, we do it without risk. Without risk. And all of you listening better understand, you got to get the risk out of these deals or you don't want to do them. Or somebody said we're in a recession now. I don't even know what the definition of recession is, and I doubt anybody else does either. But others say there's a big one coming. Others say we'll never have one. Who do you believe? I don't know. I don't know. I don't believe any of them. But I'm trying to set up my house to where the income's coming in regardless of whether we have a recession or whether we don't. And that's the whole purpose of being in this business. Now, John, I totally forgot what the question was, so did I answer?
I think you did.
Okay. Get me cranked up. You can't shut me down.
All right. So final question today from Jermaine from North Carolina.
Hey, Jermaine.
Any advice or warnings when taking over sellers' payments subject to or owner financing when they have adjustable or variable rate mortgages? Any bigger risk with the loan being called due during rate changes?
That's a good question and something you can't control, so quit worrying about it. So you're going to take over an adjustable rate mortgage, which I don't even think they make those anymore out there. I don't know. And then you're going to lease option it to a tenant buyer, and they haven't bought it in 2 years. Or I give them 2 years, and somewhere along the line, the payment went up. Okay, you better have enough spread in your receivable and your payable on this thing to begin with, so you don't have to worry about the payment going up. It ain't going to take all your spread away from you. And so you can have the provision that at the end of the 2-year period, well, you don't need this provision. You got 2 years. If they're not out, you can do whatever you want in the 2 years. I mean, if they haven't bought it. Of course, if they bought it, this is all moot. So you have the risk of your payment going up, but I can tell you right now in this economy, I don't see it happening. But if it does, it just means you take less cash flow. Now you could, in fact, my agreements say right in them, come to think about it. I don't know if you've been to the boot camp or not, but there's 2 of them in there. And one is designed if the payments go up. And it says something like if the payments from the underlying loan, including taxes and insurance and interest, then you'll get 30 days notice, and I'll raise the amount of your rent enough to cover that amount going up. So don't worry about it. Worst case, you have to take less for a few months, and at 2 years, we force them to pay more rent or tell them to get out.
That was our last question for today.
That's all. Okay. Well, that was an easy day then. All right. See you all next week.